And the next talk, I will invite someone that you probably know really well, Andreea and Bogdan Iliesu, to talk about self-publishing on consoles for dummies.
Actually, just Andreea for around 15 minutes, and then Bogdan will join me. And it's actually Andreea because I got married last year. No problem, okay. So the reason why I'm here is because we thought that thorough guide on what it actually means for an indie to self-publish on consoles will make more Romanian and Eastern European indies feel like they actually can self-publish on consoles and that Steam is not the only option for them or mobile. There are only, I think, as far as I know, two self-published on all three consoles games in Romania. It's Brawlout, and that's why Bogdan Iliesu is going to be here with me today. And there's now Doorkicker's Action Squad. Doorkicker's Action... Wait. Shouldn't I have something to, like, change the slides? I haven't thought of that.
Something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So only two, that's far not too many, let's say. That means that here at Dev.Play, he's already here. That means that here at Dev.Play, every year we try to bring console representatives to talk to you, to explain you how not hard it is to actually publish on consoles these days for an indie. And that means that the type of presentation that I'm going to do here today and the type of discussion that I'm going to have with Bogdan will try to make you venture into this wild, wild country of self-publishing on consoles. Okay, it actually works. So this guy falling from the sky, the odd one out, is actually me, joining Killhouse Games after 4 years of being Andreea from RGDA, who helps indies in Romania develop, but hasn't really done anything in terms of game development or game publishing, or hasn't even played a lot of games. I wanted my work at RGDA to be more meaningful. I wanted to have hands-on, not hands-off experience on what it means to publish or develop games and so on. And stars aligned, and Killhouse Games needed somebody like me as well. So we joined forces and we made this thing happen, which is the story of how Doorkicker's Action Squad arrived from PC to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. A bit about Doorkicker's Action Squad for those of you that don't know much about it. It's actually a very fun spin-off, pixelated spin-off of Doorkickers, the game that made Killhouse Games famous everywhere in the world. It's co-developed with Pixel Shard and published by Killhouse Games. It was published on PC last year, and as of last week, it's published now on all three different consoles. It's a very, very fun game. You can play it in co-op, couch, and online. We went and presented the game everywhere in the world, from Tokyo to San Francisco to Cologne, and another one that I forgot about, another place, Boston. Everyone liked it. We realized that it shouldn't be only on PC. People should be able to use it on different consoles, that we should be with our game wherever the players are. So we started. And this is where we started. This is where the actual story starts, and this is where the actual story can start for you as well. I know the URLs are not really easy to understand, and actually I don't think people use QR codes, but we tried to make it easy for you, so if you want to take a picture, you can. To know exactly which are the links for you to start your wild, wild venture into console publishing. Once you have this done, you will realize that... Does this work? Okay. you will realize that actually when you publish on consoles, you don't really publish on only 3 consoles. You publish on more than 8, or you publish on 9 different entities. That's the reason for this is that PlayStation and Nintendo Switch have different entities for different regions, geographic reasons. So you'll have to have a lot of usernames, a lot of passwords, write them down somewhere, make sure that you update them when you have to, and so on. Not only that you have different portals for different regions, but you also have different portals for different parts of publishing and developing these games on consoles. So you have to make sure that you know what all these portals and consoles do. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. And for that reason, you need to find your person. There's a lot of guidelines. You'll find a lot of guidelines on everything that you need to do on Nintendo Switch, to publish on Nintendo Switch, on PlayStation 4, and on Xbox. But those guidelines have hundreds of pages, and sometimes you'll just feel lost. That means that you really, really need to make sure that you have an actual person, an actual email with the name of the person at Sony, Nintendo, whatever Xbox it is, who can help you navigate these things. In general, consoles are very, very big fans of support tickets. Anyone who has ever worked with support tickets will know that they are a pain in the ass. You don't know who's going to reply. You don't know who's going to reply to your reply. People change all the time. You want an answer now, you get it 10 days later. And you need to have an actual, probably living, not robot-like person who you can ask things when you need to. So that's crucial. Another thing that you need to do, apart from developing on these portals and moving around these portals, is making sure that the consoles help you out with getting visibility for your game. Consoles start to become more and more friendly with indies, I hope. Look at how Bogdan is looking at me. But they do. They want to be friendly with indies, and they offer all these types of different possibilities for you. So, for example, we went with Door Kickers Action Squad at GDC at San Francisco. We exhibited at their booth. I know Nick with Move or Die exhibited at the PlayStation booth at GDC. Did you do that? So probably Bogdan did that too. There are websites that the consoles have where you can write articles or blog posts, and Bogdan did that as well, and he can tell us a bit later about that. There's also possibilities for you to get extra visibility on the stores, and you just need to ask for these things. Sometimes it's going to happen, sometimes will not, but when it does, it will be worth your while, let's say. So find your person. The next thing that's very important, and this is something that's very different from people who published on Steam, for example, or even mobile, I think. I'm not very familiar with the mobile world. Age ratings are actually mandatory on consoles. As you know, or you probably don't know, age ratings are actually very expensive. However, consoles realized that that's not a friendly environment for an indie and created this thing, International Age Rating Coalition, which I'm just going to call YARC, but I think it should be called IARC or something, but it's just too hard to pronounce. So they created this YARC coalition that it's actually a mechanism that you can fill in. It's a questionnaire that you can fill in inside the consoles for free and get country-specific age ratings directly after you fill it in, and that's free. The good news is free. The bad news is it's not actually supported by every single region and by every single console and by every single region. So I made this nice table here. Mihai Gosha told me it will look nicer if I have it. So this is how it works. The main idea here is this. In Japan, you cannot publish on any consoles without the age rating specific to Japan, and that's the 0 rating. The 0 rating, there are many agencies who can help you out, fill in the questionnaires and everything you need to do, and ship the CDs with gameplay videos to 0 in Tokyo, and that would cost you like over 1,000 euros. But if you want to be as creative as we were, you just take a nice guy like Titus, my friend, who knows Japanese and was able to help me communicate with the 0 agency in Japanese. I was writing the emails in English, he was translating them, and so on and so forth. And we managed, with his help, doing all these back and forth, we managed to do it ourselves and spared that 1,000 something euros, which means a lot, because actually having the 0 rating for 3 different consoles costs around 2,600 USD or euros, 2,600 euros. So getting some extra 1,000 wouldn't make sense. Another important thing is that, well, China is a totally different ball game, and I wouldn't know how to publish on consoles in China. If somebody does, I ask him to come here on stage, and I'll be like this. But you can do it in Japan. You can do it yourself in Japan, and you can also do it in Korea, although you need age rating there. If your game is not 18 plus, so if it's a game that children can play as well, you will be able to do that for free. If your game is 18 plus though, you'll need to get an actual agency who is based in Korea to do that for you, and that's gonna cost. So if you can get your game available for children, let's say with no blood, then you can do that in Korea for free. If not, no, you have to get age rating. Oh, and another important thing, everything I'm talking about here is just the digital release. So if you want to do a boxed release, you'll have to get all these age ratings, they cost, and in general, I advise you to actually have a boxed release partner. There are companies that do just that, like Strictly Limited, like Limited Run, I think. There's also Hans from Soyodesco somewhere around here, Dev.Play. Find him out. He's going to be able to talk to you more about box release publishing and so on. So just find out about it and have a partner there. Okay, that's that with the age rating. I was telling you that you have many portals and you have many different websites that you have to manage on consoles, and the reason is that you actually have to work a lot to get your store pages ready for publishing. To get your store pages ready, it means you have to have a lot of assets, a lot of banners with different specifications, a lot of trailers with different specifications, and that means a lot of rules, which you need to be very clear about. And that means you need to go back to that person I was telling you about and ask them to give you the most up-to-date guideline they have. You find it on your portal. It says that it's in May 2019, last update. If it's September, you might find out that you've done it wrong and that things have been updated. So find that living actual person and ask them for the up-to-date guidelines. And then really stick to them. As opposed to Steam, every single asset that you put on a store page on a console has to be reviewed and approved by the consoles. This review process takes like from 5 to 10 days, and that means that it's gonna take you a while to get even like a typo reviewed on your store page. So make sure everything is ready and everything is okay when you submit the store pages to everyone. Before we start, okay. Another important thing is have the strict rules in mind, but also think about the actual image that you want to show there. We were so stressed and so scared of getting everything by the guidelines that we didn't really think exactly what were the images that we put on the store pages. So for example, if you see the small one there, that's actually our hero banner for the first 3 days after launch. And that's the banner that we should have had from the beginning and that we got there 5 days after launch. We should have had it from the first moment. So just ask yourself these questions, you know, what does that image say about my game? Is it fun? Will it get people to press that button and see my trailers, my screenshots, or whatever? So ask yourself these things and not only think about the specifications. Visuals, okay, great stuff. Videos. You will need a guy like Sik here, the great video master ever, the greatest video master ever, who has some sick editing skills. The reason is you will have countless reiterations for every single video that you want to put on a store page. The age ratings will have to change for different regions. Resolutions have to change for different reasons, different consoles, and all these different things. Non-store videos and store videos have to have different things on them, and so on. This is actually something that's, oh, can I? Okay, this is something that you really need to keep in mind. We actually have, at this point on our video trailers folder, whatever it's called, 80 iterations of our videos. We have actually only 4 videos, but we have 80 iterations. Obviously, that's because we failed some submissions because of some resolution problems and things like that, and we had to change them and change them again and change them again and so on, and that meant that we turned out with 80 videos in our folder. Specifications aside, again, ask yourself these questions when you create the actual videos. Is it fun? Do the 10 seconds, the first 10 seconds actually count? How will it look on a small screen? How will it look on a big screen? And all these things. You need to take them into account when you create these videos. Okay, does this? Okay. I'm getting to almost the end of what I want to achieve here, and this is something that's very, very important. I've just had a conversation 3 days ago with somebody, and they were like, oh, so resubmissions don't actually cost on consoles? No. So submitting games on consoles, I guess as indies, I don't know because I'm not a multinational, but as indies, submissions and resubmissions of your build or your store pages are free. So don't be afraid to fail. However, please try not to fail as many times as we did. I don't know if that GIF actually works, but if you look at those dates, you'll see that we had many failed submissions, too many.
How many?
We managed to do it in the end, 6. We had 6. We managed to do it in the end. The game is on all consoles, so you guys, if we did it, you can do it too. Last lesson, and that's very important, talking about the way we failed 6 times. So don't get it to the next stage if you're not ready. If you have porting partners, for example, don't get your build to your, no, not porting partner, to your QA partner for compliance before you feel, at least you feel that you're ready, right? We sent our first build to QA knowing that we had some gameplay bugs and even some compliance fails. The QA team had to spend hours on our money to actually find the compliance fails that we knew already existed, right? So that's not really how it should work. You should send your build when you're, at least you are 100% sure or 90% sure that the build should be okay. It will save you some money. Another thing is you shouldn't really submit your build to certification on these consoles until you know you're ready, and until after you know you're ready, you still look at it for another half a day or 1 day. 1 day of actually rechecking everything will save you 5 to 10 days of getting your submission failing and then resubmitting it later. So half a day really counts. And another important thing is don't announce your release dates if you are not sure of it. We actually announced the release dates for Door Kickers Action Squad like 10 days before the actual release dates, and that was because obviously if anyone knows Guildhouse Games and knows the story of Door Kickers, you know that it's kind of tragic to announce release dates that you are not sure you're gonna make Door Kickers to anyone. Yeah. So we just did it 10 days before. We obviously announced like 6 months before that we're gonna launch at some point this year, but we didn't say anything specific just because we didn't want to disappoint our fans again. Okay, so the actual last lesson is don't forget about your PC players or your console players if you've released the game before on other platforms. What we did, for example, with Door Kickers Action Squad, the moment we released our our game on consoles, we released a free update on Steam for our players and for our future players on Steam. And that meant a chapter with 12 new levels and a new playable character, the off-duty guy I showed you at the beginning with that nice gif with the guy in his SWAT team gear and short pants. Being nice to our players on Steam actually worked wonders for us. As you can see, the console release update image that we put on Steam was retweeted by Steam. We also got on the front page of Steam. We've done record sales on Steam in the day of the release, of the update release, and SICK has done a 6-hour video streaming that got us a lot of new players and new potential players in that day, just because we didn't want to make our players there feel kind of left out. Okay, and before I finish and actually have a conversation with Bogdan, I'm just gonna talk to you about the things that everyone wants to know, which is costs. There are a couple of mandatory things that you need to take into account that you're going to spend money on, and there's a couple of optional things. Some of the optional things, we believe they're kind of mandatory, but I'll tell you later about that. But basically, it's all about, if you want to port it yourself and test it yourself, you'll need dev kits and test kits. The Xbox ones are free, and if your game is not multiplayer, your dev kits and test kits for both PlayStation and Nintendo Switch shouldn't be more than $2,000, $3,000 bucks. Another thing that's important, even if your game is going to be 100% English and you don't have any other supported languages, when you publish on consoles, your game descriptions and your store pages for many of the store pages in different countries will have to be translated. So if you don't know how to actually describe your game in Arabic or Danish, which I didn't obviously, then you'll need to get help. That help costs around 11 euro cents per word. So make sure you make it nice and sweet. Another thing is that to actually communicate with some of the consoles in the Japanese, in the region of, well, in the country of Japan, you'll need to communicate in Japanese. That's one of the hooks that publishers who publish in Japan will use for you to not publish with them, but actually that's not true. If you have somebody like this guy Titus that helped us so much, I'm kind of scared that, not scared, but I'm sad that he's not here. I wanted to give him a kudos. You can actually communicate in Japanese with the specific region, the specific consoles there, and make your game available in these countries for less money than 30% of your income in Japan. And another thing that, some other costs that are not mandatory, but that you might consider, that we advise you to consider are ratings, for example. So to publish in Japan, you'll need a zero rating. I told you it's around 2,600 euros. We would actually advise you to make that investment because Japanese players, especially on Switch, will give you a lot of your profits on the game, and I think Bogdan also agrees that publishing in Japan makes sense, right?
It depends on the game, yeah.
Okay. And we advise you to do that. And as I was saying before, to get age rating in Korea, if your game is 18 plus, will cost you a bit of money as well there. I'm not really 100% sure if that actually makes sense, so I'll have to rain check on that one. Another important thing is compliance testing, QA. We spent around the proposals we got for QA were ranging from 13 euros per hour to 21 euros per hour. We spent around 40 hours on compliance testing. It's very important because probably most of you don't know the TRC guidelines and all these certification guidelines, and compliance testing is very important for you to get your game on consoles at the right time. So we advise you to do that. We had 40 hours because our game is multiplayer. If your game is single player, it shouldn't be as much. So this is pretty much it around costs. So let's talk a bit about what it actually means to launch your game, release your game, market your game, make it visible with Bogdan. I'll have a few questions for him, and then if you guys have any questions for me or for Bogdan, we're here for like 5 more minutes. Yeah, 10 more minutes?
3.
10. Because afterwards I think it's lunch break, so.
Yeah, let's do like 7 tops.
Okay. I invited Bogdan with me today because I think he's the Romanian expert extraordinaire in terms of consoles. His game, Rollout, did wonderful on all 3 consoles, and I want him to tell us a bit about the way he marketed his game, the way he decided to have his game on these consoles, and why it was worth it.
So for us with Rollout, it was like a special case. Not every game is the same. Not every game has to go to all the consoles.
It's true.
And for us, it was like an opportunity at the time, and we launched on Nintendo Switch first because it was like a new product, and we launched in 2017 when the Switch launched. And then we launched on Xbox and PlayStation the next year, and we always try to talk to, as you said, with the console people,
representatives, yeah,
to go to their events and get the maximum marketing they can offer. And you have to impress them to do that. And you have to make them think your game is better than all the other games that are releasing in that period.
And how do you impress them? With sweet words or with your game actually being
So for example, in one case,
cooler than your other games?
one case we impressed one guy with a big booth at a big event. So
What big booth, what big event?
we
E3?
cannot say that.
Oh, okay.
And we also made sure at each launch to have some exclusive content for those players to motivate them to choose that platform over others. And we had like some party modes, like special content for Xbox, something like that. And we always added new characters and indie guests, and it worked out really well for us.
So that's actually important because we've only published Door Kickers Action Squad like a week ago, but you have like a year of experience or more, right? 2 years of experience of having Rollout on all 3 consoles. How do you do to make your game still relevant or still visible a year after a launch?
Well, you have to keep doing updates, but it's usually easier in like an active community and online games. If you do like a single player game, like a story-based game, that's might be harder. You can do some DLCs for extra story, but you still need to have those active players. And yeah. about that.
You said that it's actually very important the type of the game that you have when deciding to go on consoles or not. In your opinion, what type of games actually do deserve to be on consoles?
Every game deserves to be on console, but you need to buy a PlayStation, buy an Xbox, and buy a Switch, and spend like 2 months going through all the new releases and see what does well and what doesn't do well, and then see if your game would have a chance.
Well, do just that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else that you can tell us in terms of tips and tricks of reaching more visibility on the storefront themselves?
That's tricky. I mean, you can look on Google and see what others do, and it's always good to do a sale. If you do a sale, you get extra visibility after a launch, and try to check the sales calendar for each console they are set for 1 year. You know ahead of time when they do that. Other than that, if you do like a major content update, you can talk to them to feature you.
Like we did for Steam, yeah. And we got the daily deal. Okay, cool. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for us?
Hello. I want to congratulate you for your first development talk. My question is, did you ever consider when creating and distributing the assets for consoles, for Action Squad, some A/B testing tools, such as like the Google Play Store or other ways of A/B testing the assets?
No, and now that I think of it, maybe it would have made sense. Thank you for the audience for actually giving back with constructive feedback. Thank you, Dragos. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot,
here,
guys.
So I'm here. I'm on every single channel that you can think of, as Andreea from RGDA or as Andreea from Killhouse Games.
The purpose of this talk was to encourage everybody to port their games to consoles if you have like a PC game. And we are around. If you find us in the hallways, just ask us anything. We can give you tips on everything.
Exactly. The idea is just that these are a lot of the things that a lot of advice we could have given, we couldn't give because of NDA rules and so on. But the moment you actually decide to port your game and you get everything sorted that way, we can help you out with some specific questions. Actually, Bogdan helped us out a lot while publishing our game on consoles. Rick and Nick from those awesome guys also did help us a bit on when it came to PlayStation. So just use the community you have to help you out, and ask a friend to help out whenever possible. So good luck, and let's hope next year at Dev.Play 2020 we won't only have a couple of games on Romanian games or Eastern European games on consoles, but tens of them. Well, that's not going to happen, but still. Thank you.
Faster.
Hope to see you all after lunch.